SwiftUI has built-in support for haptic effects, which use Apple's haptic engine to make the iPhone vibrate in various interesting ways. Now in iOS, we have two options for this, easy and complete. I'm going to show you both of these so you know it's possible, but I think it's fair to say you'll want to stick with the easy option unless you have some very specific needs. Now, important note, these haptic effects only work on iPhones, actual physical iPhones. Your Mac will not vibrate, your iPad won't vibrate, it requires an actual physical iPhone, otherwise these effects will do nothing at all, they're silently ignored. Anyway, we'll start with the easy option here. Like Sheets and Alerts, we tell SwiftUI when to trigger our haptic effect, and it takes care of the rest for us. First, we can write a simple view that will add 1 to a counter whenever a button's pressed. I'll say at state, private var, counter is 0. And then in the body, I'm going to write button, tap count is that counter, and then we'll add 1 to counter whenever it's pressed. So unsurprisingly, that'll build nicely. Let's see a little preview. I can press plus here and it'll add. Nothing surprising here. That's all old code. To make it more interesting, we're going to add a haptic effect to this button that triggers whenever it's pressed. There's another modifier called sensory feedback. And I'll say my feedback will be .increase, with the trigger being that counter property. Now, if you want to, pause the video now, try playing back in a real device. Again, not simulator, a real device here. You should feel gentle taps when you press on that button. Now, this sensory feedback here, .increase, is one of the built-in haptic feedback variants. It's great when you're increasing a value like we have here, like a counter, and there are lots of others to choose from. Just press dot and explore them more. You'll see important ones like success is down here, we have warning, we have error, we have start and stop, and there's more. And each of these built-in feedback variants has a different feel to them. And you're going to find it's tempting to basically go through them all and pick the ones you like the feel of. Oh, this one feels great here, I'll use that one here because it feels good. Please stop and think how this will be confusing for folks who are blind, for example, who rely on haptics to convey extra information to them, extra context to them. If your app hits an error, but you play the success haptic because you like the feel of it, it might cause confusion in practice. So be careful. So that's built-in haptics. Very, very nice, very, very easy. If you want more control of built-in haptics, there are some options down here called impact. And this has a couple of variants. If I pull this out slightly more, you can see the size of this thing. You can see we have flexibility here and intensity, but also weight and intensity. There are options for that too. So it's customizable where you can choose exactly what we want to say. So we can say, for example, I want to have, let's do an impact with flexibility and intensity. I'm going to say, imagine we have a sort of soft objects colliding at medium intensity, like that. So you get a dull sort of soft thud feeling. Or I want let's say the weight variant, impact weight, and that didn't work, impact with weight. There we go. Heavy objects hitting themselves hard, maximum intensity like that. Experiment and get a feel for what it's like, because there are variations between there, and you will think, oh, that is quite a soft object or similar. It's actually quite subtle. Anyway, that's the easy option. For more advanced options, Apple provides with a whole framework called Core Haptics, and this thing I think really feels like a labor of love from the team behind it. It was one of the really hidden gems when Apple announced iOS 13, and I completely pounced on it when I saw release notes because I was obsessed with it first because it's so much fun. Because Core Haptics lets us create hugely customizable haptics from scratch, combining tap effects and vibrations and parameter curves and so much more. And I don't want to go into too much depth here because I could just go way off topic and rant here. It's so much fun. but I do at least want to give you an example of the power of what it can do so you can try it for yourself another time. First things first, add an import for core haptics. It's a separate framework. There we go. And next, we want to add an instance of CH haptic engine as a property. And that's the thing that's responsible for making vibrations that we've designed. So we'll make this thing up front before we actually want our haptic effects to play back. And so I'll say we have at state private var, our engine is a CH haptic engine question mark. Now we're going to make this thing as soon as our main view appears, and that's obviously crashing my preview for some reason. Thank you very much for that, Apple. We're going to make this thing as soon as our view appears, and when you do that, you can attach handlers to it so it'll resume if it gets stopped, for example. Like if the app moves to the background, it'll get killed automatically or paused automatically. You can resume it when it comes back to the foreground again. We're keeping it simple here. And so if we can have haptics, we just start it straight away and put an error if it fails. So simple, simple, simple. We'll do a method down here called prepare haptics. Inside here, I'll say guard ch haptic engine dot capabilities for hardware dot supports haptics. If we support haptics, carry on. If we don't, just exit. There's no point continuing. The point trying to play this, it's not going to work here. We will say our do block, make our engine be a new ch haptics engine, and then try starting the engine like that. If that fails, we'll catch the error and just do print there was an error creating the engine, and just print out the localized description like so. Now for the fun part. We can configure parameters to control how strong the haptics should be, which is a haptic intensity, and also how sharp the object can be. That's down to the rigid and soft objects again. And then put those into a single haptic event with a relative time offset. Sharpness, I don't know how to say really. It's an odd term. You think, what's a sharp haptic? But it'll make sense once you've tried it. Please try noodling around to experiment. It's so much fun. A sharpness value of 0 really does feel dull compared to a sharpness value of 1. So give them both a try and see what you think. As for relative time, this lets us create lots of haptic events in a single sequence, all strung together, all playing back accurately. So we're going to add a method down here to content view called complex success. You saw on the old, sensory feedback success, that's fine. It's now complex success playback here. So again, we're going to make sure our device supports haptics straight away, otherwise bail out. If we're still here, we'll go ahead and make an array of events, which is an array of ch haptic event. This will start out making one intense sharp tap. So I'll say our intensity is a ch haptic event parameter. The ID is .haptic intensity and value is 1. So 1 for intensity. And then our sharpness is another ch haptic event parameter per event, typo there, event parameter, there we go. This time for haptic sharpness, again, value 1. So strong and sharp together. Those are two parameters. I'll put those both into a new event object, ch haptic event. This has the event type of .haptic transient. That means a one-off tap as opposed to a continuous sort of buzz. For parameters, I'm going to say it's an array of our intensity and our sharpness, and our time is 0. And we'll add that to our events array, like so. That is our play. Give me one intensity, one sharpness now, effectively saying at the same time. So I'll say, go ahead and do a do block, convert these things into a pattern, so we can actually play back and just play the pattern immediately. So I'll say make a pattern, which is try ch haptic pattern, the events of that array of one event right now, and no extra parameters, like that. Then make a player to play back that pattern, make player with the pattern, and then try player.start at time 0. And if that fails again, we'll just do print failed to play pattern with error.localized description, like so. So your events could have many, many, many things happening. Do this, then this, then this, then this at various times. You combine all those events with a single pattern. Here's my exact sequence of events. Make a player for that and play it back when you're ready. To try it out, we can go ahead and use our button for that. We'll say, let's do button play haptic. You can scrap counter now. And then when that's pressed, I'll just go ahead and say call hour, or what's it called? Complex success. Like that. Run it now. If you want to, of course, you could use the action value here instead. I could do action is complex success. Same thing, really. One thing you do have to do, though, that of course triggers playback of our pattern. But you do have to tell SwiftUI when our view is shown, perform. Don't do that. Don't do that to me, Xcode. Perform loading that. So prepare haptics when our view has been shown. That matters. You must create the haptic engine. You must start the haptic engine before you attempt to trigger any haptics here. So once we have that, again, give it a try. Please, please, please give it a try. Noodle around with these values 1 and 1. Try less intense, still full sharp, or very intense, low sharpness. Noodle around. Maybe add more than one event with different times and so forth. For example, we could say, yes, we could obviously modify these things here, but we could make multiple events happening here. We could, for example, say, actually, I want to make a bunch of increasing events, getting stronger and sharper, and then decrease again, down again. So all the way up and all the way down again, for example, also works. So I might say, for example, here, before let intensity, I'll say, for I in stride from 0 to 1 by 0.1. And then put that whole chunk of code inside there. So now we're saying count from 0 to 1, going 0.1, 0.2, 0.3, 0.4, all up to 1, like that, and do these things each time. And I'm going to tell this thing, actually, we want to use I as our value each time. So I put I here and I here. So I'll use 0, 0.1, 0.2, 0.33, 0.4, all the way up to a thing. Now I'm going to make a slight change here. See, it's complaining that double and float aren't compatible. Fine. You've got to say float I for reasons known only to Apple. But yeah, float I like that to convert our double to a float. But what you want to do also is tell this thing, don't do it all at relative time 0. Do it relative time I. So it'll play the first one, 0, then 0.1 for the second one, 0.2 for the third one, 0.3 for the fourth one. So it'll go brrrr, like that, getting stronger and sharper as it goes. And if you want to, take all that here and again count from 0 to 0.1 by 0.1. But this time we're going to say the value will be 1 minus that thing and 1 minus that thing. So it starts very strong and very sharp, and goes down to being very weak and very dull. And add 1 to the relative time. So it completes after this initial loop. So it'll go from very, very gentle and very, very dull up to very, very strong. Then very, very strong, down being very, very gentle and very, very dull again. And that adds them all to the single pattern. The single events array here makes one pattern from it that plays it back as normal, which is with different times happening throughout. So it all feels like a whole bunch of taps happening on the screen. Anyway, Core Haptics is just great fun to experiment with. It really is a lot of fun. But given how much work it takes to produce this kind of exact thing you want to proceed, I think it's likely you'll stick with the built-in effects, all those sensory feedback things, at least at first, and probably as much as possible as well, because it's just so much easier. That brings us to the end of the overview for this project. So please press and hold, undo a billion times, get back to your starting template, like almost like that. Boom. It's now time to build the main project.